In 1934, famous outlaws Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow were on the run from the law enforcement in a stolen car. After several escapes and several murders, they were gunned down in Gibsland, Louisiana on May 23, 1934. Today, we're heading out there to visit the museum and then follow their last journey from the restaurant where the museum stands to the spot where law enforcement shot over 100 bullets into that stolen car. Join us as we visit Bonnie and Clyde's final destination.
Alright. Can I go over on the right?
Dillinger apologized for his first robbery. He ended up serving 9 years for that. He went AWOL and when he was in the Navy. So that showed he didn't have much character.
He didn't have character.
You know, a lot of them, Babyface Nelson was just mean to the bone. Pretty Boy Floyd just never wanted to really work. You know, I really think Clyde, though, the Depression had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, because from what I've learned is that he came from a very poor family.
Yeah.
And he was kind of a mama's boy.
Well, he had 3 other brothers.
Uh-huh.
You know, he had 3 brothers and 3 sisters. He wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
And he fell right in the middle of all of them.
And his oldest brother, when they were coming down this way, didn't he get shot in the head, went through his temple?
Doug was shot in Platte City, Missouri in a gun battle, and they captured him up in Dexter, Iowa. And he died 6 days later. That was a year before they killed Bonnie.
Yeah. Now, was his wife in the car with Bonnie and Clyde, or was it just Bonnie and Clyde?
Bonnie and Clyde was when they were killed.
Okay.
Lance was in prison by then.
Because I saw the death photo, and it looked like there was a woman outside the car on the ground.
Well, they took her out later on the ground.
Because the picture is she was leaning up against Clyde.
Well, when they went to run the film, because they leaned them both back, because they were both going forward. But then after that, they took them out of the car. I got pictures of them laying her on the sidewalk. She's got a pack of camels on her dress. And,
Really?
Yeah.
That was another thing I was going to ask, is back then, do you know, this had to have been so scandalous because she was still a married woman.
No, she wasn't.
And her husband...
No, she wasn't. That's just all that.
Well, they did let her get the marriage annulled or whatever. So
There wasn't no. She got married a week before her 16th birthday. You know, I mean, what you going to do with a 16-year-old girl?
No,
she married Roy Thornton, and within a year that marriage was annulled.
The Thornton, yeah.
Yeah, it was annulled, and you know, she didn't die with his wedding ring on or none of that crap.
Yeah?
You know, no, that's just all lies they made up about her after they killed her.
Uh-huh.
You know, so.
Was there anything you think that you can tell us that maybe, like the body no ring thing is different?
If she'd had a diamond ring or something on her hand, nobody would have known it. They took all the jewelry out of the car before anybody got there.
Well, you would think, too, that they would have scalped it, you know, if they worked for it.
No, that ring ended up being left with her mother. And eventually it went to Billie Jean, her sister, and she gave it to Raylene, that was Buddy's daughter, and or Buster's daughter, and eventually got lost.
Huh.
You know, they eventually lost it.
And Clyde, really, you wouldn't have gotten into this if you hadn't hooked up with that guy in jail? Is that right?
No.
Because didn't they kind of run around?
No, that whole Roy Thornton or Ralph Foltz thing is just.
Foltz, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's just ridiculous. You know, he met Ralph Foltz in prison. When he got out, they did 1 or 2 jobs together, and Ralph got caught went back to prison. They were never.
Yeah.
You know, he sits there and tells his old story. Well, first, it was Clyde and me with the Barrow gang, and then it was just an old story.
Just trying to ride on the coattails.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. This is us. This just came on Sunday night.
Oh, okay. You want to get a shot of that?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, do you have the original cars at Zach Bagans? Does Zach have it? I thought he had it. Zach Bagans in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's in Las Vegas, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
in Primm, Nevada at Buffalo Bills Casino.
Oh, okay.
That's the real car.
Okay, because
It was in Whiskey Pete's, and Whiskey Pete's closed, so it's across the street at Buffalo Bill's.
Oh, okay.
That's the real car.
All right. Because they've made several replicas.
There were 3 replicas running around when they were showing the car. One they turned into a hot rod. One sitting in the bottom of a lake in Jonesboro. I've got the 3rd one. Then there's the movie car in Pigeon Forge. And then there's a real car in Priam. And there's another replica in San Antonio in that Texas Ranger Museum in SLU.
Okay. How did you get the bullet? Did they specifically do the bullet, or did they just stand there and
shoot? I don't know. I mean, this car back here was shown as the real car for 55 years.
Okay.
I don't know how they made it. But the bullet holes are pretty close.
Yeah, people were saying the driver's side isn't right, that kind of a thing.
There's just 1 or 2 holes out of place, but unless you got a picture, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
Well, let's go look, shall we?
We will.
Y'all go right ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That they're
honestly, to God, this just zoomed in on its own.
okay.
As I can remember what Perry said, the counter went this way. And then this was your old-fashioned front end, glass and the double doors that opened up with the old spring door, and that's it right there.
Okay.
So Clyde would have walked through that. He would come here at this counter and he ordered 2 sandwiches to go. So while he was waiting, he just sat here. Of course, everybody knew who he was because that's like Brad Pitt and Elvis Presley.
Yeah, you got your celebrity.
He's a celebrity status. So as the story goes, people know who he was. And he just grabbed his sandwiches. Bonnie was out in the car right out here, and he just grabbed them and went. And he made it about 7 miles down the road. They were hiding, and they let loose. Is there a picture of the car? There's the car.
Yeah.
Oh, and then look at this.
Yeah, it's like they had their, and then they got rid of all those, so they took the shotguns after them too, didn't they? They were already dead before they hit them with the shotguns.
Oh yeah, but they overdid it.
They were so sick of them.
They still hold the cop killing record.
Yeah.
So they killed 9 policemen, injured about 6 of them.
Gee.
They took on an armored car from the Kansas City police and beat the armored car.
Wow.
Because Clyde was able to get a machine gun out the window, and he got it through the ice slit. And
Holy cow.
it bounced around inside. So just knocked that armored car out. And then he just sprayed the area, and then he just drove off.
It didn't stop for the money or anything.
Well, they were at a hotel when the Kansas City police surrounded the hotel.
Oh, okay.
And so after he sprayed everybody, they all just kind of stopped shooting, and then that allowed Clyde to get out with the car. So he took off. But yeah, there's the car. They had, what Clyde was doing at the end of World War I always think this is a good thing to add. At the end of World War I, if you see World War I movies, you'll see like the Germans and the English, they're shooting at each other with these big machine guns with belts coming out of them. But it's got a real thick barrel, like you see in the movies. That's to pour water into.
Oh, to keep it cool?
To keep it cool.
Yeah.
You'll see a fat barrel. It looks like a giant muffler in these old World War II movies, and they're just sitting there machine gunning. Well, at the end of World War I, I'm sorry, I correct myself, World War I, at the end of World War I, they got to where they could make air-cooled machine guns, so they didn't have to have that big muffler sleeve on.
Man, with water on there, that'd be heavy.
Yeah, so horrible. Oh, it took 3 men to carry it, and you had to assemble it. So by this time, they were able to make it compact. They made the same machine gun, only it was shaped like a rifle, with a 20-round magazine and just a barrel coming out that was air-cooled. And so you could carry that. And
Is that the Tommy gun?
No, it's called a BAR.
Oh, okay. I read about that.
It's a lot bigger than a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, it's you got to be a muscle man to want to carry that around. And it sits on a bipod.
And he used that quite often.
Well, so right after World War I, in about 1919, right as the war was over, pretty much, they came out with that BAR, so they used it in Japan in World War II. you'll see our movies where our GIs are carrying this thing, and it's got a bipod so it can sit up, and then they just, unload a 20-round magazine. Well, Bonnie and Clyde had figured out how to get into armories, National Guard armories. And so what they were doing was they were going in there and stealing World War I weapons, military. So they were coming out with these BARs, and they were coming out with 20 or 30 of them. They had them all in the car. They were stealing magazines, 30-06 bullets is what the BAR shot.
Oh my goodness,
That's a deer rifle round. It's huge. And so when the police would pull their cars around, he would just get out and spray the car, and the bullets would go right through the car. So they were just terrified of Bonnie and Clyde. And Bonnie and Clyde were the first people that started doing it.
See, I read about the BAR throughout what I was researching, and I did not realize there was that gun. And I cannot believe that, because he used the BAR several times.
Oh, yeah. That's what he used against that Kansas City armored car, and that's why he beat it.
Okay.
Now here's the BARs right here. And that's a far off picture. If you were standing there, that's probably almost like 4.5 feet long.
Wow.
I mean, that's big. That's a kind of a far off picture. This Tommy gun's tiny. It shoots just a little pistol. Yeah, it's only half the size of that, and only probably a third of the power, because it's just a little pistol round. And look at how big that magazine is. Those are deer rounds that are shooting through.
You can even see how big the barrels.
Oh, they're giant. I mean, you can imagine a man holding that.
No.
Well, so what had happened is the police got angry enough that when they ambushed him out here, the police got a whole bunch of BAs. And that's why his car looks like this. Yeah. They turned it into Swiss cheese, so they got him with his own weapon. That's what happened.
Now this is after he got him out of the car, obviously.
Yeah, that's when they pulled him out. There he is, there, you can see his face.
And then Bonnie was like leaning on him this way, wasn't she?
Yeah. We don't know if they opened the door and pushed her over towards him, because you would think that with the bullets going that way, it would have blown them both this way, and instead they were leaned over this way. But there's no telling. I think they got in there and probably searched the car.
You may have pushed her out of the way just to get to any weapons.
Yeah. Here's the big crime about Bonnie and Clyde. So we think of Bonnie and Clyde, the crime is the robberies that they committed, the people that they were shooting at. But there's a second set of crime, and that is any evidence that they had, like guns, bullet casings, buildings that they robbed, has all been torn down and thrown in the trash. And half of the time they knew not to do that, because people were saying, do not throw that away. Don't tear that building down. And they tore it down anyway and made a park. So that's the second crime of Bonnie and Clyde. Is about 90% of everything that they touched or shot is in the dumpster.
Now, why have you folks gotten involved with this? Are you really like history buffs, or interested in the whole?
Oh yeah. I mean, the biggest crime is their Platte City shootout, where they outgunned that armored car. They stopped it. That was a little motel room. Police surrounded that and put 1,600 bullets into it with rifles and Tommy guns. They just obliterated it. Bonnie and Clyde are shooting back out of the window with their BARs. Bonnie and Clyde won that gunfight.
Some of the escapes they made were just
amazing. It's almost superhuman.
Yeah.
Well, in the 90s, they just tore that little motel down, and it's a parking lot in front of, I think, a health clinic or something.
And really, the start of Bonnie's downfall was that she got burned so badly on her leg.
Wellington,
and she was kind of like a package to have to take care of more.
She got around okay. She limped. And she was not, a lot of times she would sit in the car, or she'd be lookout or something like that. So it wasn't like she was physically having to shoot at people or whatever.
Is there anything from the Obina Bank in Minnesota?
You know what? I haven't checked. And see, that's the problem, is she gets calling up there and they say, oh, they tore all that down and they built a city bank or something. And, that's the horrible thing. But I will check on that, because I hadn't even thought about that.
Another spot.
Yeah, that's a good story. He and his partner hid up on top of the vault So
Oh, really?
when the bankers came in, they jumped down.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good little story. This is the phone that the police used to call when they killed them.
Uh-huh.
And so if you go outside, there's a little Spanish-style gas station, which there's a picture of too somewhere. That they had to actually drive up here and then make the call.
Oh, okay.
And then so the newspaper from Shreveport came out. And that's where the closest photographers were and stuff. And they came out and started photographing.
Can we get your name, please?
My name is Jeff Hill.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Yeah.
An amazing amount of gear in here, isn't there?
Yeah.
And some of the weapons. Here's the replica car, which was, what did he say, was exhibited as the genuine one for 55 years.
Here, I think is the thing somewhere.
Oh yeah. There's a lock of Bonnie's hair in this case. Now that's a lot of weapons.
You're going to need guns. A lot of guns.
So, linking in with what the gent said, that's BAR. I think the top two are BARs. Okay, from the Ambush Museum, we're heading that way, down 154. We're on the road to the marker.
Here we go.
It's just round here. In fact, where the...
You think it's that big
It
hole?
is, it's where that big logging thing is. That looks just right.
Yeah, it looks like there's a thing
Yeah,
on the
there's
side.
the markers. Oh wow, okay. Final destination? Here's the final destination.
Yeah, final destination is Bonnie and Clyde's shootout site.
Oh dear me. Okay. Here we are.
Oh, bar.
Just in case someone's not seen the film, yeah, final destination. That's one way of wiping yourself out, is by one of those logging trucks. So Bonnie and Clyde's final destination has got a final destination truck on it. Didn't make it up. Okay, let's see what this one says. And it reads like that. And this other one, oh yeah, you can see where people have shot at it, but it's been cleaned up again. And apparently people bring the guns down and take a go at it. Look at all the beads and things.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
And for some reason an old Duracell battery. Let's have a wander over this side in the daylight. I'm hoping to still be here for the evening. Not that it really matters as such. Over
No,
here.
I don't think it really does matter because it took place at 9:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't believe spirits just show up at dark anyway.
No, it's a really good point. But as far as I understand it, this road
It's just past there where the car actually was.
Okay.
So we'll have an initial look up here. I would imagine, and I don't know actually, if this road was always here, this little dirt track, and so they pulled the truck up here to look like he's needing a wheel change. So they parked in front. And everybody jumped out of there. Right, so what we've got is a spirit box, and we've got my word sense, just a prototype version of it. And we see how this goes.
I want to know, was it worth it?
What was that?
That was something.
Just touched the aerial and something came through. So, is Bonnie or Clyde here? May as well ask.
Yeah.
Are any of the officers here?
Did either of you have any regrets?
Word sense. ITC in your hand.
So that's the kind of EMF thing at the top, and then there's a bank of words relating to EMF levels.
And the words were not stacked. We didn't
Oh,
program
yeah, no,
any words
no.
in there for specific.
In fact, it's all going to be open source, this. So there's no problems. Enigma.
That's true. Right.
Living large.
Living large?
Yeah, living large. Enigma, living large. It's kind of applicable. Alright, I'm going to see what's at the top of this bank. This is the kind of view that the officers will have had.
Bonnie and Clyde.
So, in summary, it seems like it's been blessed.
In summary, is the energy is with the shit in the museum.
Yes, yes.
Most definitely.
But the marketplace, yeah, I think they've moved on from that.
Yeah.
And I hope so, it's one of those.
Yeah.
You know, if people have genuinely come down wishing to help them cross over and etc., if they haven't done because of the trauma, well, they've done a good job.
Heard the news come down the wire about what happened in Gibsland that day. Bullets flying, hearts on fire, hit an ambush along the way. What happened to your lives? What happened to your lives? Two hearts that couldn't survive. From the law, honey, but the law was running faster. You were dreaming of tomorrow, but tomorrow's gone and past, yeah. I keep thinking about the choices that you made along the way. What happened to your lives? What happened to your lives? What happened to your lives? Two hearts that couldn't survive.